Okay, hello and welcome everybody to Career Hacker Unplugged, where I interview inspiring entrepreneurs, work-life passionistas, and others hell-bent on doing work that lights them up. I'm so happy to be with Michael Bungay Stanier today. Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm great, Melanie. Thank you.
Good,
I'm
good.
also with my cat, so if you see a tail waving around, that's Flora McDonald, our cat.
Oh, great. Great name.
Gang here.
Okay. We like to have animals. Hopefully my animal will not decide to be a part of it, because if she does, it'll be very loud, and that will not be fun. So for those of you who don't know Michael, which probably are not that many of you, I'm just going to give you a short introduction about him. He's the senior partner at Box of Crayons, where it's a company that helps people do more great work, people and organizations, companies. He's written a number of books. Do More Great Work is one of the most popular, and also the book End Malaria. It's a philanthropic project. It's a collection of essays about doing more great work, and it's raised about $300,000. I'm not sure if that number is accurate at this point.
I think it's probably over $350,000 now, so we're pretty excited about that.
That is fantastic. He's also written the book Get Unstuck and Get Going, Get on the Stuff That Matters, which is a coaching tool that's been used people all over the world. And some other cool things: The Alchemy of Great Work, The 8 Irresistible Principles of Fun, and the 5.75 questions you've been avoiding. Those are videos viewed by millions of people, and really, really interesting. I could go on for probably another 20 minutes on Michael's bio, but I think we can let him talk about the actual work he's been doing. So let's just dig right in. What is this whole idea of doing more great work?
So 6 or 7 years ago, a friend of mine sent me a single page, a photocopy from a book. Guy Milton Glaser is a graphic designer, and he said, look, he didn't exactly say this, I adapted it a bit, but he basically says, look, everything you do falls into one of 3 buckets. It's either bad work, good work, or great work. And I thought to myself, that is a pretty useful distinction to have in this world. And my basic stand on it is our goal is to do no bad work, less good work, and more great work. And very quickly, here's what I mean by that. Bad work, well, that's the mind-numbing, soul-sucking, depressing, what am I doing wasting my time and life on this activity type of work, right? And whether you're in an organization and you're going, I'm struggling or I'm stuck, whether you're a woman in transition going, I need to find my next thing, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whatever, we all have those things where we go, what happened? How am I doing this? You know, this is my precious life. What's going on? Right? That's bad work. Good work is best described as your job description. And of course, we all have job descriptions, whether or not we've got a job. But it's the kind of the standard day-to-day stuff. It's important. It gets things done. It helps the world tick over. If you're in an organization, it's kind of what your boss or your boss's boss wants you to be doing. So it certainly plays an important part, an important role. But what a lot of us find is that the good work can be both a bit overwhelming because of the amount of it, and also good work keeps us a little bit stuck in a comfortable rut. So whilst it plays an important part of our lives, the danger for me is that it becomes too big a part of our lives. And then with great work, we're talking about the stuff we do that matters to us, that we care about, that has an impact, that, you know, using coaching tools and jargon, it speaks to our values and exemplifies our values. So this is the stuff we want to boast about, the stuff that we care about, the stuff that kind of lights us up. And what I would notice is that most people have some great work in their lives, but are hungry to do more great work. So for me, the quest is, how do we give people the insights, the tools, the focus, the courage, the resilience to strive after great work, knowing that that is not an easy thing to do. It requires focus, and it requires courage, and it requires resilience.
Right. So I suspect it seems like there are people that get this concept, this great work concept, and those who don't. Yeah. And I wonder if, I know people in my life that I feel like they're not always doing great work, but a lot of times they are just really involved in doing great work. And then I know of other people that I'm every time I talk to them, they're constantly buried in the just good work day to day. Like, and they say they don't have time actually for the great work. So do you feel like this is something, how do you think people start to begin to access doing more of that great work when they do get so stuck in this day to day kind of thing?
It's a very good question, Melanie. I think there's a pretty significant percentage of the population that just isn't interested in this conversation. They're like, you know what? I show up, I do my thing. I don't expect to have work that's fulfilling or meaningful. I'm just doing it for the money, the necessity. I'm getting through it, and then I'm getting on to the rest of my life. Which can also be a bit of a grind or can have value outside work. So there's a bunch of people for all sorts of reasons. Some people are going, I'm just trying to make the money to get me through the day, right? I don't have time for this whole great work, meaningful stuff piece. Other people going, I've kind of given up on that. That's the group that makes me most kind of sad around that. And then there's people who go, I live more of an examined life. And by living an examined life, I'm prepared to go, look, I spend a lot of my life awake and doing stuff. Given the choice between doing stuff that challenges and provokes and has meaning for me or not, how do I get more of that? But it is not an easy task to do. When you're busy, you're overwhelmed, you've got other things. You've got to create time to reflect, to think, to be provoked, to be supported, to be challenged. And for lots of us that we go, too hard.
Right. So I speak with a lot of entrepreneurs that are, very excited about the work that they're doing. They still feel like they're just doing way more good work than great work. So what are some tips that you can offer people that are doing their own business and that are, solo entrepreneurs out there that want to, kind of escape some of that day-to-day good work stuff? Not that they're not willing to do it, but how do they tip the scale so they're doing more of the great work?
Well, let me turn the tables on you. You are an entrepreneur. You're a person who I bet has going, I'm questing after great work. I have too much good work. So what do you do that allows you to focus on the stuff that matters the most?
Well, I think for me, I constantly go back to my values, like my top three. What are the things that I say and that I believe are the most important things to me? And then it's really easy to get me caught because if someone says, what are they? And then I look at my day and I'll say, well, I'm not acting on behalf of those very well. So what are some things that I can do? So that's sort of where I start.
Bring it to life with me. If you're willing, share one of your values with me.
Let's see. So contributing something to my field.
Fantastic. So how has that, knowing that, contributing something to your field, how has that enabled you to focus more on what we might call great work?
So I wake up every day and I know that I have a list of things that have to get done, but I say, okay, this is my most important thing. I'm going to block out this chunk of time and I need to contribute to my field. This is what I'm going to do today, whether it's, working on my book or, writing an article, who knows, and maybe, reaching out to somebody else who can offer something. But that's what I start my day with.
Yeah, fantastic. So, it's a wonderful discipline to, for instance, define what my friend Molly would call a HVA, a high value action. You go, look, what's my great work? What's the one high value action I'm going to take today that's going to move that forward, right? And having the discipline to spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes at the start of a day actually doing some reflecting and some planning increases the odds of doing that. But firstly, you need to know what you might be working on. So one of the tools that I use often is what I would call a great work project. Define the project that you're going to say, this is where I will direct my time, my passion, my energy, and that's going to be the centerpiece of how I design my day and my week and my quarter and my year. And I'm going to build other stuff around that to make sure I get that project done. So you talked about the End Malaria book. So that was a great work project for me. I went, you know what? It would be easy for me to keep doing all the stuff I'm doing and be busy and be businesslike. I'm an entrepreneur myself. And just get to the end of the year where I go, great, I grew my business 5% or 10% or something like that, or I shrunk my business, or I served my clients, I did the best I could, and that feels okay. But it also feels a little bit like I spent a year mowing the lawn. The lawn? you look at the lawn and you go, that's an awesome lawn. But you don't look at the lawn and go, see that part of the patch of lawn there? That was outstanding. Or that.
Right.
Just go and look at the lawn. I want entrepreneurs to be able to look back on the year and go, I haven't mowed the lawn. I've created some kick-ass elephant hedge sculpture.
Right.
That's what I've done. That's what I stand for. So creating something to say, whether it's like an interview series, whether it's a book, whether it's a way of improving a relationship, whether it's building a system, it's like, what's the thing that at the end of the year you can go, when somebody asks you how was your year, you're like, let me tell you the best part of my year. Let me tell you the thing I worked on this year that I'm really proud of. Once you define that project, this creates the focus that allows you to actually direct it rather than having your kind of day and your time sort of slip away and eke out. So you kind of go, wow, something happened today, I'm just not sure what.
Right. I love that idea of defining a great work project because you can't escape it. Like, right? Once you name it and you say this is it, you're pulled to it. It's like everything will conspire to make you do that.
You can escape it. You can hack any system. One of the things I know to be true about myself is I'm a genius at creating incredibly complicated systems to try and get me to do stuff and then hacking them, 3 days later. You can escape them, but you're just less likely to escape them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what about people that are actually working for somebody else? They're working in a company and they feel like, I'm just, tirelessly going through the day and I'm not really feeling like I'm touching anything. How do they start to do it? And do they just go to their boss and say, hey, I want to do some more great work. How can we make this happen? Or what do they do?
Well, that's certainly one way of having a conversation. But if I was a boss and somebody came to say that to me, I'd be going, well, okay, who's responsible for your life? Is it me, your boss, or is it you, the person who's actually living this life?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do more great work, make me an offer I can't resist. So I think there's a piece here, and again, it requires a place of reflection and thinking, but there's a piece around going, look, what does my organization need me to do? And do I know that to be true, or am I making up a bunch of things around that? And what do I want to be doing? And how do I find the sweet spot between those different things? There's no point in working in a manufacturing company and going, hey, I've got my great work and I think I want to do meditation 2 hours a day. Because what, this is incompatible with your job. So part of it is about going, how do I find something that is in alignment with what my organization needs and fulfills what I want to do in some way? And my take on it would be, great work in an organizational life, in life in general, but in organizational life, comes from 3 sources. There's either a disaster happens, you have to go and fix it, save the day. Feels good, but it does involve a disaster. So, it's not so good, right? Sometimes it gets delegated. You have a boss or a colleague who goes, you're going to enjoy this, let me give you this project. You're like, awesome. But that's also outside your control. But where I am going is going, look, you have a field around you. Take a look and go, of all the things I could be doing, what might be my great work project here? And how do I go and frame it to my boss so that she says, I like it. Let's find time, let's find resources, let me give you my support to enable you to actually do that. But, make a case, pitch an idea, have a conversation that is actually about, here's my thoughts on great work rather than, boss, I want to do more great work, fix it for me.
Right. Right. That's great. That's great. That's an ideal scenario. Once you walk to somebody and say, hey, can I do this? And they say, yeah, let's make it happen. Here are all the resources you need. That's great. So one of my favorite questions to ask people, because it's always like it's a big debate, it seems. There's the people on the side that say, yes, go after, do what you love, do your passion or whatever. Yeah. And so I wonder, and then the other people that say, no, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. So I wonder sort of where the do great work falls in there. Is it tied in? And then more specifically, do you think that's actually good advice to just go do what you love, to go find your passion?
Here's how I respond to that. Go find your passion is something that is out of reach for a lot of people. In that a lot of people go, I don't even know what my passion is. So when you say go find my passion, you make me feel slightly inadequate because I'm not super passionate about something. And does that mean there is no meaningful work for me to do? And, and that kind of leaves me a bit heartbroken. The other thing about following your passion is going, look, if there's something I truly love, what's the compromise that happens if I start turning this into a business or an entrepreneurial piece? So, and this is well known here, I love baking. So I started baking, and I discovered that I now hate baking because it's now been tainted with the ecstasy and agony of being an entrepreneur, and I'm no longer baking for people who I love, but I'm baking for any old person who doesn't respect my carrot cake the way my friends used to respect my carrot cake. So I think there's some dangers there. But I do think there is something about find out what you care about and do that work. And to me, that's slightly different from your passions.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told to follow my passion, and I don't even know what that means for me. I'm not even sure I go, I'm passionate about this. But I'm really clear that I care about having people fulfill their potential and having people stretch and grow and having people take responsibility for their lives. I don't want to call it a passion, but I do want to go, this is a deep value of mine. And so for me, and it comes back to almost where you started us, which is going, understanding who you are and what you stand for at a values level and going, how do I find the opportunities to embody those values, I think is for me a more useful way of doing that.
Right. Yeah. I do find for my clients, a lot of them they come with, I'm trying to find my passion because that's the catchphrase, or that's what everyone says you're supposed to be doing with your life. But I find that rarely happens until they actually start doing work, no matter what it is. Right. They don't really find that out until they are doing it. So passion actually is not the first thing. That comes later. It comes after following what you care about.
Well, it feels like going to find your passion is like you uncover this hot, red, glowy thing. You're like,
right.
This is it. And my experience of finding myself and my great work has felt much more like a pointillist painting, which is like it's lots of little data points, stuff where I succeed, stuff where I fail, stuff where I have scars, stuff where I've stumbled, a gazillion programs I've taken, 1,000 coaching conversations I've led and been led on. It all kind of just keeps helping me, nudging me towards a better sense of myself, rather than going, I found this lump of passion, now what do I do with it?
Right, and I do think language is so important for people to sort of free themselves from these like pressure to get something right, or like I'm supposed to nail it, and so like opening up some language around it I think is really important. So like when you were saying like the word care about, or when you start to do something, you have a moment of like, hey, wait a minute, I love this. I'm pretty good at this, and I really like it. How can I bring more of that into my life? So I think that's an important thing. And just working with career so much, I think that language is can be sort of limiting for people.
I agree, Melanie.
So what do you think? What is one thing that people can start doing today, right now, to start doing more great work?
Well, let me offer a number of things, little things that people can do, because different things will mean different things for people. But one simple thing might be to remember a moment, a time in your life where you feel that you've done great work, and just reflect on that experience, that story. Just kind of reconnect to how great work feels, and remember why you might even want to do great work. Because I can make a good rational argument for doing great work, but what will make people change the way they're behaving, which is a pretty comfortable way of behaving, is an emotion. People change because of how they feel, not because of how they think. So connect to the feelings and the excitement and the importance of doing great work in your past. A time when you have felt that, there was a challenge which you rose to a sense of this is a very, this is a better version of who you are, and kind of just connect to that. So that's one possibility. Another piece which is a bit more rational Get a bit of paper, draw a big circle in it, and thinking about those three definitions we talked about, bad, good, and great. Do a quick snapshot about how much great work do you think you currently have in your life right now, and what is it, and how much good work and how much bad work. So kind of get a sense of, well, where am I now? What are my choices around this? And then a third piece would be find somebody to start the journey with, because great work is not an easy journey, and it's a lot nicer with two. So, if you care about great work, if you've got a hunger for doing that, don't go, and I now need to figure this out all by myself. Find somebody to walk the path with. And, that can be a friend, that can be a spouse, that can be a professional relationship like a coach. But, it's like a mastermind group. It could be any number of things. But find the support to begin the conversation with.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And then, so you had spoken a little, you just briefly touched on it, what you need to do more great work, and courage, resiliency. Can you speak to those three?
Yeah. So focus, courage, resilience. Focus goes in two areas, and we've kind of talked about them. One is a sense of who you are and what matters to you. So a sense of, this is what rings my bells. And if you know that, you can start recognizing the bells. Focus around you in terms of where are there opportunities for me to do great work. Sometimes it's starting something new. Sometimes it's amplifying what's already there and going, I'm already doing this, but rather than dabbling or doing it slightly automatically, what if I really give it time and attention? So that's focus. Courage is about being willing to start the journey. Because, you can know what great work is, but you have to start actually doing it. And it takes courage because it means making choices, saying yes to something, saying no to other things. It also likely means letting some people down, changing some expectations. If everybody's happy, you're probably not doing great work. If somebody's bummed out, disappointed, pissed off, then that might be a clue that you're just an irritating person, but it could be a clue that you're actually on the path to do great work. And then in terms of resilience, then the piece with resilience is around when you start the journey, when you stumble, when you get lost, when you doubt yourself, when you're uncertain of all of that, you're willing to actually go, I'm going to stand up and carry on rather than giving up. Because there are times for doing great work where you just want to lie down and go away, everybody, or I give up. So resilience is the willingness to step up. Seth Godin wrote a great book on this called The Dip. It's short, it's sweet, but it's a really nice story about the value of continuing to show up.
Yeah, that's a great book. So a lot of people love to know personally, what are some things that you do that keep you on track? Like, do you have a coach? Are you a part of the regular mastermind? What are things that you do, like in your daily weekly practice that allows you to be as successful as you are?
Okay, so I have had a coach for at least 10 years, a different coach, but I've had my current coach for 5 years, and we talk every 2 weeks. I think of him more as a kind of business mentor than a life coach. I have a mastermind group of 5 other people. We check in on 3 to 5 times a week on a web forum.
Wow.
Just going, this is what I'm up to. Here's my high value action of the day. Here's what I'm struggling with, whatever it might be. We talk every 2 weeks on the phone, and we meet once a year for 3 days for a retreat. I have another kind of support group here in Toronto. 2 other folks. We meet once a quarter, and we kind of go, here's what I think I'm up to in the next quarter. I step back and I try and do a lot of planning. I keep going, what are the key projects that I'm working on? I use this project piece a lot in terms of going, how do I do this? And I have a team where I give away as much of what I can do as possible to the team so that I can focus on where my real gifts are. And I would say none of that is super smooth and easy all the time. Like, I'm a meddler. I'm a fiddler. I love to have fingers in all the pies. So my team is constantly irritated. I got a note from my one of the team today going, okay, so we have this wiki going, here's how some of our processes used for some of our program leaders who run our corporate programs. Yesterday I went and just tidied a few things up and rearranged a few things. I got this, entirely appropriate note going, oi, stay out of the damn wiki. My job, if you got something you want changed, you come through me to do it. So it's about learning how some of that sort of stuff works.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I mean, it's nice to hear that you're doing all that. I think for there are a lot of people out there, and certainly a lot of people that are listening here that think that these people have gotten success because they're just putting their head down and they're working really really hard. But you have a whole lot of things in place that are helping you, that are keeping you accountable, that are helping you to sort of define what you're doing and keep you on the path, and that having people around you to do it, you don't have to do it alone, is really important.
People and systems. In fact, my contention would be you can't do great work by yourself. You need people around you to provide intellectual and emotional and technical and maybe even financial support. You've got to pull people in to help you with some of this stuff.
Right.
You see, I have a lot of structure around me to make me look like I'm a casual solo genius.
Right. It's the magic behind the man, right?
No, exactly.
Good. So,
of a surprised woman.
Right. So what is something that you're working on right now, or something that's new that we can find out about, that you're excited about?
Well, I'm writing a new book. The working title is Time Crunched Manager. So that's exciting. It's just going through that painful process of writing at the moment. But truly, and this is probably not sound that exciting to people, but we're working on a kind of power shift within Box of Crayons, where Marcella, who happens to be my wife, is really coming in to also take on running and controlling and managing the company. Because one of the things I've discovered is that I'm a much better manager in theory than I am in practice. So she's taking on managing the other members of the team, and I get to have conversations with you, write books, do some of the stuff that is really where I can best contribute. And so we're kind of learning how that new way of structure and accountability and power works. That sounds kind of boring, but it's actually quite exciting to be actually experiencing it.
Yeah, that's a big shift, I would imagine. Kind of learning it all over again.
Exactly.
So when will your book come out? Do you have any idea about that?
It's probably about a year away.
Okay.
Just the way the wheels turn in the publishing world, it's a slow process, and we're just about to finalize the deal with the potential publishing company. But then I've got to write the book, and then they've got to edit the book, and then I've got to rewrite the book, and they've got to edit the book, and then I've got to rewrite the book.
Right.
Until I kill myself.
Right. Okay, great. Well, I have to ask, because I'm seeing the word boredom behind you and loneliness, and I'm pretty sure that's not the key of that place. So can we read it?
Yeah, of course. Let me hold this up. So this is by an artist called Humor Cloud. He's got a great blog called Gaping Void. Some of the stuff I like, some of the stuff I don't fully understand, but this is a poster, part of his work that I bought. Can you read that, Melanie?
Yes. The price of being a sheep is boredom. The price of being a wolf is loneliness. Choose one or the other with great care. Oh, that's great.
And to me, that speaks to some of those choices around great work.
Absolutely. Did he do that specially for you?
No.
Oh.
Just that strikes all sorts of chords.
Yeah, that's very cool. All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to share that I have forgotten to ask you?
I think that's a pretty good conversation, so I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it, and we'll put all the links to all of your work and your sites for sure on the page. And just thank you again for showing up.
A pleasure. And I'll just say, there's a ton of free stuff on our site, so people are welcome to come in and pillage what they want and grab anything they want. Go for it.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Melanie.